My family has a long history with immigration. During the 1950s, my great-grandpa, Francisco, made the sacrifice of leaving his family behind in Mexico for 3 decades to become a bracero. This program started in 1942 and ran to 1964. The United States asked 4.5 million Mexican workers to help in agriculture and build American railroads. Each day, my great-grandpa would work for 10 to 12 hours in the hot Arizona crop fields, planting and harvesting America's food. A couple of generations later, I continued his legacy by contributing to this nation. I was only 9 years old when I left Puebla, Mexico, and immigrated to the state of Oregon. When I first got here, I saw America as this big land of opportunity. I believed in the idea that anyone could reach their American dream by working hard. As a young fourth grader at the time, I imagined a future where I would get out of poverty and receive an education. But I soon realized what it meant to be an undocumented immigrant in America. I realized that my dream of becoming a dentist was going to be a much longer journey than I ever expected. My life serves as proof that our current immigration system is broken. The main issue with the current system is that it focuses on nationalism. This means that it becomes a us and them situation where American people don't want undocumented immigrants into this nation. But we need to remember that at our roots, we are a nation of immigrants. We need to remember that the US population is currently 1% Native Americans and 99% immigrants. This means that most of us here in this room are actually either immigrants ourselves or the descendant of one. So let's not look at the 11 million undocumented people in America as just a stat that we hear in the news, because they are real people. They are mothers, they are fathers, daughters, sons, and grandparents. These people, they work in our communities. Sometimes they're our co-workers, and they are even our friends. We need to remove the label of us and them, because we are all people. Today, I want to show you how our broken immigration system has created a fear of immigrants. I will talk about a law that was created by fear, my life as an undocumented teenager, and propose a solution for our ever-growing issue of immigration. Let's begin by talking about a law that was created by fear. In recent months, the state of Arizona, among 5 others, have passed SB 1070. This law allows police the right to racially profile people by the way they walk, by the way they talk, or simply by the way they look. Can you imagine what it's like to be a child, always living in fear that your parents might be taken away? If this happens, then who will take care of you? Can you imagine always being stuck in your house and not being able to go to the mall, the park, or the library because your parents always face this risk? This is just one issue that many immigrant families live with today. This law, among other policies, are responsible for creating a fear of immigrants. I would like to share a couple of common myths with you today. The first myth is that undocumented immigrants steal American jobs. Now, what people don't see is that for a majority of immigrants, they work in low-paying jobs, such as agriculture, landscaping, fast food, and day labor. Take this as an example. When my mom and I first got here, she worked 2 jobs. In the morning, she would work at a recycling factory where she sorted out all the city's food waste. And in the evening, she worked as a line cook at a fast food restaurant. Now, even though she had 2 jobs every single month, when we tried to pay for rent, groceries, or basic utilities, we still faced a financial burden. Now, I'm sure this is not a situation that many Americans want to be in, of working 2 jobs and still struggling to make ends meet each month. The second myth I want to share with you today is that immigrants do not pay taxes. Again, this is not true. According to the Washington Post, that 11 million undocumented immigrants pay $1 billion in income, property, and sales taxes. They're basically paying for a service they don't receive because they don't get Medicare, Social Security, or welfare. My life has been impacted by these policies and laws that America has against immigrants. I've spent a large part of my life hiding in the shadows. Whenever a person has asked me where I was from, I had to lie and say that I was born here to protect my identity. But I've come to realize that every single day that goes by, my situation becomes more unavoidable. During high school, I became aware of what it meant to be an undocumented immigrant. When I first started to get my driver's license, I went to the DMV, like all my friends, and I realized that I did not have a green card. Then, when I tried to get my first job, I realized that I did not have a work permit. And finally, when I tried to apply for college and scholarship during my senior year, I was rejected a lot of the times because I was considered an international student. Now, as a teenager, it was very discouraging seeing all my hard work in school, community involvement, and extracurricular suddenly just all go to the trash. Whenever my friends talked about college and scholarship, it was a painful reminder that 9 digits were stopping me from pursuing my goal of becoming a dentist. I still remember sitting on my high school graduation in June of 2014 without a single dollar to pay for my college education. Being undocumented has definitely closed a lot of doors for me. But I have not let these obstacles stop me from contributing to this nation. I am now a Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival recipient, also known as DACA for short. This program was created by President Barack Obama to help the undocumented youth who was brought into this country as children. I now have the opportunity to work and get a driver's license for a 2-year period. Over this past year, I went back to my former middle school to work as a teacher assistant. I had the opportunity to work with ESL teachers, ESL students who were in the same situation I was in 7 years ago, and also work with my former ESL teacher, Mr. K. There was one valuable lesson I learned from this experience, and that is that having faith in people goes a really long way. Just 1 year, I was able to see my students grow both as individuals and academically. The faith I had in my students is that same faith that Mr. K had in me. He is the reason I am here talking to you today. As a whole, America needs to have more faith on immigrants because we are not bad people. In my situation, I am simply a 19-year-old who has a dream of becoming a dentist, but I can't reach this dream if people don't have faith in me and fear me because I am an immigrant. Now, you may be sitting there and thinking, why don't undocumented people just become legal? Well, the main issue is that the current system is broken. Oftentimes, politicians tell people like myself to just get to the back of the line. But in reality, there is no line. The current US system takes people from a lottery. This means that if people want to migrate here legally, they may have to wait their entire lives. This leaves immigration as the only option for a lot of people. So let's talk about a solution for this issue. As I mentioned before, the current system is focused on nationalism. This makes the American public scared of people from foreign countries. But I would urge America and our leaders to place more emphasis on empathy so we can trust and respect immigrants. The solution is to create a straightforward pathway to citizenship. We need to build a system from the ground up that will give people, undocumented people, the tools necessary to take on the responsibilities of being citizens. If we take this route, then the United States will benefit from 11 million new workers, and these people will be able to help fund the retirement program, promote economic growth. In the US, we hope to fight crime more effectively by being able to keep track of who is here in the country. I know that this change is going to take a long time, but with the help of each of you here, we can begin by having more faith on immigrants so people like myself can contribute in a bigger way in the future. Now, my great-grandpa made the big sacrifice of coming here 65 years ago to help as a farm worker. He came with big hopes and an American dream. Even though I came into this country as a 9-year-old, I consider myself American in every way. I consider myself an American in my heart, an American in my mind, and an American in my soul. In every way except by virtue of birth. I ask you, can you please help me reach my dream of becoming a dentist? My great-grandpa was able to help many years ago as a farm worker. I want to follow his footsteps and help America through healthcare in the future. Thank you.